Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to create the Altair Star using warped hexagons. It does take a little bit of time. This is your warped hexagon, and you can see there's cutouts on this one to create spaces for the crystals. So let's get started. You're going to need 5 different colours of number 11 Delica beads. I will list these in the description, and some 4mm bicones. So to start off with, we're going to pick up 6 of the clear beads, and this is row 1, so these are listed as the A beads. So as we work through the video, for every row that I do, I will do a write over on the video so that you can see the rows as we go. This is just a circular file line join. But one thing I would say, because it's a hexagon and we're warping it, we do not want this circle of beads to be too tight. And I'm going to show you how I do this. You see, at the moment, it's a very tight circle. And on the next row, we're going to put in 6 beads. So it will not work if it's that tight. I use a reamer, and because I've done this a lot of times, I know that if I slide this down, I will have enough space for the 6 beads on the second row. And I'll just show you, there's now a gap in my thread for possibly 1 or 2 beads. So we're just going to pick up one of the B beads, and we're going to stitch this in between the A beads, and then we're going to do this 5 more times. I am trying to hold it so that you can see what I'm doing. Is very difficult because I've got a pointy thing right towards my eyeballs, and I'm trying to do it underneath the camera as well. You don't need to worry about that gap in the thread, it will disappear, I promise. So that's the 4th one. This one and the last one. Now when I've added the last one, I'm going to skip the first B bead I added, and I'm going to come through the A. This just tightens the first row circle. And now I can take it off the reamer. So you can see here my thread is now in the wrong place because we need to be exiting the outside bead. So all I'm going to do is pass through these 2, and now we're ready to begin row 3. Row 3 is to pick up 2A. Now you will see when I describe this that I list this as a corner. It is an increase because you're picking up 2. So the pattern will read increase 2A each corner. You will also need to step up at the end of every row. I really haven't laid my beads out properly because I keep crossing across the mat. I'm sorry. So this is the last increase, then what will be the last corner, and we're going to step up through the B and the A. Row 4 is increase to B each corner and peyote 1A each side. So you're stacking the increases in the same place, just the same as you would do with a warp square, for example. You'll also notice that it's still lying flat. Don't worry. The end of this row will create the fold. So that's the last increase on this row. If I bring it in close, you can see that there's not quite enough room here to do that peyote bead. And that's why when you make it take the peyote bead, that's what will create the warp. So what I'm going to do is just step up. I'm actually peyoteing and stepping up at the same time. And then as I pull this bead in, I'm going to fold so that that bead will pop into place. When you make your fold, it's important to do it the same each time. So I like to think of mine as a little roof. I've got 2 sticking up bits and 2 square edges. Become clearer when I've done a little more beading. So this is row 5, which has increased 2A each corner. Remember, the increases are always on top of the increases. And then we're going to peyote 2B each side. So you can see one is sticking up and the other, as I work along this side, it should be almost straight. And a word of warning as you work the next few rows, I think it can have a tendency, the actual piece can twist on you and you could find yourself in a different place than you started. So the trick to that is remember or fix in your head where you are doing the step up and how your piece should look when you do the step up. I think I will do a couple more rows all the way around and then I will start abbreviating so that I will just show the first corner and the first side and leave you to stitch the rest yourself. I just want to be sure that you can see where the step up is and how your warped hexagon should look, because it is important and you need to get 7 of these warped hexagons looking identical. And we will also be doing a different start on the last warped hexagon because you'll need 8 in total. So don't get too giddy and do all 8 of them at once. You can do 7, and you can whiz on to see how I do the number 8 if you like. It's all about putting in the hanging place. So here I am and I've stepped up, and again you can see if I turn it round that it's a little house and I'm in the same place as I was. And be careful, don't let it twist. So this is row 6 and we're going to increase 2B each corner, and then we're going to peyote 1A, 1C, that's the pale blue, 1A each side. So I'm just going to repeat this row, well, it's not row, is it? Each corner, each side. I'm going to repeat 5 times more, basically stitching it all the way around and holding our piece in the right shape and not allowing it to twist. And we will know if it's twisted because our step up won't be in the same place. So you have to fix that in your mind. I think when you've done about 3 or 4 more rows, it will not twist. These warped hexagons get stronger for every row that you create. This particular one that I'm doing has 13 rows. You can adjust the size of the star simply by increasing the rows if you like. And if you didn't want to have the crystals in, then you can join these warped hexagons together without creating the little V shapes on each edge. So here I am at the end of this row. Fluff. Uh, and we just need to add in the last A bead and step up again. So for the, as I said before, for the subsequent rows, I will just show you one corner on one side and leave you to do the remainder because we've still got to stitch these together and it's turning into a very long video. So there we are. I've still got my roof and I'm still stepping up in the same place. Row 7 is increase to A each corner, peyote 1A, 2C, 1A each side. And then you need to repeat it 5 times more and step up. So I'll show you how this looks and then I will cut the video and allow you to catch up with me. So this is the last A on this row. So here's our finished row 7. So now we're going to move on to row 8, which is increase to B. Then we're going to peyote 1A, 1C, 1D, 1C, and 1A each side. So this is row 8 finished. I'm going to move on to row 9, which is to increase 2A each corner, and then peyote 1B, 1C, 2D, 1C, and 1B each side. So that's row 9 finished. I'm going to move on to row 10, which is increase 2B, peyote 1A, 1C, 1D, 1E, that's the silver accent bead. Whoops, sorry. 1D, 1C, and 1A. This is how row 10 looks. It's finished. So row 11, we are going to increase 2A, then we're going to peyote 1B, 1C, 1D, 2E, 1D, 1C, and 1B. This is how the end of row 11 should look. So row 12 is a little bit different because we're going to start creating a space to put the bicones in. So you can see in the writing it says skip 2. I'll show you what I mean when we get there. So peyote 1A, 1C, 1D, whoops, camera wobble, 1D, 1E, now we're going to skip the next 2 E beads, these 2 here. We're just, by skipping, we're just passing through them. I do mine, pass my needle through at 45 degrees from the back to the front. Don't try and do it in a straight line on the top because you might crack a bead. And we're getting camera wobble because I've got a knot in my file line joint, so I'm sorry about that. And then we're going to pick up 1E. We're just going to peyote it, just as normal. And then we're going to peyote 1D, 1C, and 1A. Then again, need to repeat this 5 times more. So this is the finished row 12, and we have one final row to complete. And on this row, we are going to increase 2A, each corner, and we're going to peyote 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, and now we need to skip through the next 4 beads. And we're going to do that just as we did before. You may find that passing through the beads this time is a little bit tighter, but you should be absolutely fine. If not, change to a finer needle. And then we're going to peyote 1E, 1D, 1C, and 1B. So you need to repeat this again 5 times more. And you can see we've clearly got a space now for that bicone. So this is the finished warped hexagon. Obviously we will be doing a joining row to join them together. Just wanted you to see how it looks, and you need to create 7 of these. You will be creating another one, but as I said earlier on in the video, that last one we need to fix how we are going to hang the ornament. I did try to use the hole that you can see here to attach a bead and a loop, but I found the ornament rocked from side to side, wasn't stable, so I had to come up with a different method and I had to start again. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've completed row 1 and 2 here. Remember, you only have to do this once. And I'm going to pick up 2 E's, 1 number 8 bead, and 2 more E's. And then I'm going to just turn my work around, and I'm going to come through the bee that is opposite the bee that my thread is exiting from the opposite side. Now I'm going to come back through all 5 of these beads, and I'm going to come through the bee on this edge from the opposite side that my thread is exiting. So it's like a figure-8 stitch. This will hold the 5 beads in place. So I'm just going to pull the 8 up, because I need to be able to get a jump ring through. And I'm going to do another figure-8. Change my mind about doing just the one, because this ornament will be quite heavy for the thread. Better safe than sorry. And again, we're going to come back through that bee from the opposite side that my thread's exiting. It's very hard to get the correct focus to show you. I'm just going to complete row 3, which is increase 2A 6 times. Remember, this is just the same as all the other hexagons that you've made. This time you need to be very careful how you fold it when we get to the next row. So that's the step up on row 3. And what we're looking for is the bridge between one side and the other. So before I complete row 4, I'm just going to add in my jump ring. Which will allow me to add in either a ribbon or a piece of chain or a hook so that I can put it on my tree. And it's better to do this now than later, because it's rather awkward once the hexagon's all folded. You'll only have a very small space to deal with. So before we do row 4, just like to show you, because I did get lost myself on this, is that if you can see I'm holding, the way I'm holding the jump ring, it is in line, and these are, if I dig my needle in, these two white beads here are the beads where you made the bridge. So wanting the bridge to be across, if that makes sense. So you're going from one of the square sides to the other square side. Yeah. And if you use the bee beads, you should be absolutely fine, because it will be obvious that you've gotten it placed wrong. So I've whizzed on a bit, and I've done a couple of sides of row 5, which is to increase to A and peyote to B. So I'm going to finish this row, and despite it being row 5 and not row 4, I found this to be the best place to do the fold. So I'll just go around here and I'll come back. So here we are, I'm stepping up, and I'm sorry it's out of shot. So we step up, and at this point, even on row 5, it will twist and turn. So now we can be absolutely sure that we're getting that loop in the right place. And that is, you can see the square sides, pointed sides, and you can see that that bridge is between the two square edges now. So you need to complete the rest of this square without moving this bridge. So I've done another row here, and again it's still a bit wobbly, and you've got to be careful not to let it twist. So go ahead and finish this 8th warped hexagon and come back when you're done. Now for the fun bit. Everybody loves using the crystals, right? I know I do. I love it when it starts coming together. So we're going to pick up one E, and we're going to stitch that between the increase 2A, and then we're going to peyote 1A, 1C, 1D, 1E. Now we're going to pick up 1A, one of the crystals, and another A, and it's still actually peyote, but we're treating this as one bead. Treating this pickup as one bead, and you need to remember that for when we do the joining. And that just pops in there just perfectly. And so we're going to do it in reverse now. We're going to pick up 1E, peyote 1E, peyote 1D, 1C, and 1A. Yikes. Let's try that again. Now I know in the instructions I'm saying each corner and each side again, and that's because construction can vary depending on your personal choices. For instance, thread paths. I'm showing you how I've done it. And the reason I've done it this way is because I can continue to extend my thread. I don't have to join in a new one because I always use the file line join. If you're using your thread in a different way, then you can construct in a different way and you can use the joining row however you like. It just has to be done on each side. I would be careful, would warn you to be careful that when you've stitched all of these warped hexagons together, there is a point that you have to stitch in some beads and it could get kind of tricky. You need to be careful about that. It's not too difficult, but I'm just warning you. So if you do like to use your own joins, etc., then please skip ahead to where pretty much to the end of the video where I've joined 8 together and where I make the final joins and finish off the center of the star. So for my method, I use the joining row on 3 sides, just on these first 3 sides. And you can see now how that looks. And what we're going to do is we are now going to join on the next one. So we are going to join it in this way so that your squares, if you like, are on the outside and your pointy bits are on the inside. And we're basically just going to zip around these 3 sides to join these 2 pieces together, like so. So for anybody that has previously done my patterns, you'll know that I now will refer to this join as the LCL, which is a loop, zip, loop. And I had a lady the other day, she asked me, what is a loop? And I suddenly realized it is actually a square stitch. I just created my own name for it and I've been using it for years. But it is actually a square stitch. So we are making a loop or a square stitch between the 2 adjacent increased beads, and you need to be careful and check before you go ahead and zip all this up that your square sides are going to join in the right way. So that's the loop. Then we're going to come back through this side. I have also had people ask me why this is necessary. And well, you don't have to do it. But I find when I'm constructing 3D objects like this, there is a lot of stress and strain between the 2 sides. And if you don't do a loop, brackets, square stitch, it can pull apart slightly at that point. And if you're doing a very big construction, for example, my spring dodecahedron, it will ruin the overall shape, and the integrity and the strength will not be there. It just won't be there. And I've seen so many people put in so many hours, and they've sent me a photograph, and there are gaps all over the place, and they just turn around and say, well, it's squishy. I do try to say it's important. There are no shortcuts with this kind of beading. This cannot be rushed. So here we are. I've gone from side to side. This is sipping. And I said previously, we are treating the A, what did you call it, the F bead, and the A as one bead. So we're still zipping up. We're just treating those three beads as one unit. And you can see that's popped together beautifully. And again, we're going to zip up. We're going to continue to zip up down this edge. I think this is the longest video I've done. Actually, can you let me know in the comments? Are these kind of videos too long? Would you prefer shorter ones? Oh, goodness, I've knocked the camera again. I'm sorry. I don't know how I could make them shorter. I just naturally assume that if you know what I'm doing, that you'll whiz on, that, fast forward and say, okay, I've got that. So it doesn't have to be as long for those that have been beading for a longer time. So that's the last zip. You see? So I'm going to create another loop. This is the end of this LZL. I'm going to create another loop here. So I'm going to pull them tight, go in this direction. Now we're beading one E between the increase to A. So you'll notice when you consider how you fold it. So we're wanting to fold it so that the square edges are together. So we've just pushed that crystal away from you. That means that I've already beaded the E between the increases at this point. So what we're going to do is we're still going to put an E between the increase beads, but we're effectively going to borrow the bead we've already stitched in. So we're just going to pass through that E, and then we're going to pass through the adjacent increase A, and then we're going to do the loop again between these two increase A, And once I've tightened this one up, should be able to see that that E now sits very nicely between those 4 increase A's at the top here. And so now we can zip up the rest of the edge, just as we did before. Just working from side to side. You can pull your work tight as you go along if you like. I'm doing it this way so that you can see what I'm doing. And you can do, I suppose, 3 or 4 stitches at once and then pull it tight. And remember, when we get to the A, F, A, we're going to treat it as one bead again. So we are just zipping from side to side. We're just going to pass through these 3 beads in one go, and we're going to pretend it's just one bead. Then we're going to zip up to the end of the row, just as we did before. So I'm just going to get to the end of this join, which is the top edge. Steady camera, steady. And then we're going to do that loop again between these 2 beads. And we're going to borrow that E bead again at this corner. So complete the loop. Pass through the E. Oh yeah, you're going to have fun. The thread keeps catching. I'm sorry about that as well. There's nothing I can do about that, other than to recommend that you pull your thread slowly. So now we're passing through the opposite increase bead, and then we're going to create a loop between the adjacent increased beads, just as we did before. I'm going to zip these two edges together. And I'll come back when I've done that. So here I am, I've worked all the way around, and I'm just going to finish the last loop on this side, on this edge, and then we're going to do something different. So pass up. And down again. So I've completed the join between these two pieces. And what I'm going to do now is move on to the next edge. And this E that I pick up will be at the center of the star. And this, it will also be only worked on this side because of the way I'm joining it. And that's why I've said it's going to get a little complicated when we have to fill in these beads when the star is complete, so, or nearly complete. So I've picked up one E and I've gone through the increased bead. Then I need to do the joining edge all along these three sides and then come back and loop, zip, loop around these three sides. And in this way you are going to join in all of the remaining 6, including the hanging one that we completed earlier. So using the same method, I've now joined together 7 of the warped hexagons, and I have completed the 3 joining rows just as I did before. Now you'll notice on this side that the E beads are missing, and on this side they have been stitched in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join in the final 8th hexagon just along this edge, but I'm going to leave it open to give me a bit more room to work with. And I'm hoping that I've got my thread path the right way and that it will work out just so. As I said before, you know, everybody's thread path is different, and I have left an extra thread just in case I've got it wrong, but I don't think I have. So here we go with that last join, and let's see how it works out. Now obviously I'm just joining in the last one, so for the first 3 joins it's exactly the same as it was before. So I'm just using the loop, and you can see how it is now quite tight. But what we can do is use the hole at the center of the star to give us some room to maneuver our bead or thread path, not bead. Goodness. Right, so I've done the loop. This is where it gets really tight and awkward, Just take your time. You're going to have to slow down. Obviously, your thread is going to catch on pretty much everything that comes into contact with. I don't know why I do this. I don't. And yet I do. I know some things are awkward. That's it. Now I've got it positioned correctly. I know I've done the loop stitch properly. That's it. That's it. It's sat properly now. And I can zip up this edge. I have had customers that have bought something, a pattern from me from my website, and they've come back and said, they were tricky or they were easy. And they've gone ahead and made 12 or 16 for family members. And I'm like, wow. I just, I mean, I love to bead, but I also like to design things. And I know when I finish this one, I will not be super eager to do another one. So if I could just stop my chat for a moment, you can see here that I have no E-beads on this side of the center. And this is why I'm leaving it open. And once I've joined this edge together, I will show you how to work around this join and how to finish placing the E-beads on this side. I would also like to say, if you're anything like me, please slow down, because at this point, everything is riding on it. You've done so much work. Don't rush it. Don't force your needle. Just slow everything right down. Because if you crack a bead now, you've got so much unpicking to do. It would be really, really annoying. So let's just take our time. So close to the end line. No pressure. So I don't, maybe 4 or 5 beads there. We'll just pull it up, kind of like a corset. There you go. And we'll do that loop again at the end, or square stitch if that's what you like to call it. So you now need to complete joining these 2 edges. I'm going to get rid of that loose thread. I thought I might need it, but I don't. So I've completed the previous join, and I've also done the last 3 joining rows. And what's happened is my thread is on this side. So you can see I've already done the E-beads on that side, and now we need to complete them on this side. I've filled in a few just to shorten the video. So again, these are complete. I've just got one missing, and that's okay because that final one we will do right at the very end. So I've worked some of these beads through, and we're still putting them with the increased bead. I got fluff, fluff. I'll bet you that's a Newfoundland hare. I'm going to have to stop, and I'll be back when I've got it out. My apologies. Let's try that one again. So what we're doing is, let's pretend you've already seen me stitch that E between the increase. But this is basically the same all the way around. I think I can get away with it. So we're picking up one E, and then we're going to come back through that increase bead. And then we're going to come back down through the adjacent increase bead. Ah, there's more fluff. Oh wow, okay. So I basically cut out a lot of editing, which showed me trying to get that fluff out because it was driving me nuts. So let's try again. So I've picked up the E and I've put it between the increase beads, and now I'm passing down through the adjacent bead, which is actually the square stitch. Do you remember where you did the square stitch? And then we pick up one E, come back up through the adjacent increase bead. So what you're looking for is two E's set one on top of the other. Now you will get all of these on this side. This is the one that you're filling in. And there. So again, down through the adjacent bead. Then when we do the final join, we will have one last E to fit in. So I'm actually quite pleased. Thread path seems to have worked out very well. So again, we're going to pick up another E. I'm going to pass up through the adjacent increase bead. And I've probably got far too much thread now to finish this, but it is what it is. And back down through the adjacent bead. So you can see that if you'd actually made the join all the way around, you wouldn't have this extra maneuverability. And as luck would have it, it's just worked out perfectly. So we're now going to do the loop, zip loop, on all three of these sides, and I'm going to use the center just so that I don't force any beads or take the wrong angle, because I don't know about you, but I would be screaming if I broke a bead at this point. So let's just not do that. And again, we're just going to zip these 3 edges together. And I think I'm going to cut this thread. I'm going to shorten it. It's driving me mad. You need to ease these 2 edges together. It's all about tension in my designs. And this one's no different. So you need to finish joining these 3 edges, and then we will pop in that last E bead when we're finished. So I've joined the 3 edges, and I can just about see I've got to complete the loop between these 2 beads, and that's what I'm going to do. I actually found, despite some of it being awkward, I wasn't holding my breath when it came to the end of this design. It wasn't too tight. So I think if you take your time, you'll be just fine. So we've got one last E bead to put in here, and then we will be able to finish and just end our thread. So I'm just going to pop that last bead in. And there it is. So we just need to finish the thread now. So once you've ended your thread, your Altair Star is finished. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and maybe you'll make another 1 or 2 in different colours. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if I just use my reamer, look how well it balances. It's not going to wobble in the wrong way on your tree. I'm quite happy with that. I hope you are too. See you again soon. Bye for now.